In the past 7 days, I've looked at over 1,000 applications. And during that time, I've seen fantastic applications, I've seen terrible applications, and I've seen applications written by AI. So in this video, I'm going to be covering what things will actually get you past round one so you can actually get a face-to-face with the person you're trying to get a job from. So my tip number one is to actually read the job description. Part of Unkey's job description had the following lines in it, which about 95% of people didn't even actually read. And it was, as you can see on screen, send your resume to with the reason you love to work at Unkey and any additional details. Now, this was really intentional and I did this on purpose. And the reason that we did this was we knew that majority of people were just going to spam, send the resume and not even think about it. So we added this little piece in to weed out the people that actually cared about the job position and people who were just applying because they saw a base salary of 80 to 120K, regardless to where they lived. Then my second tip is to actually use that job description and anything that they ask you for. Of that 95% who didn't read that and either just sent their resume or just sent some sort of generic cover letter, the 5% that did read it often didn't actually do the why I'd want to work at Unkey and only did the additional details part, talking about how they've won hackathons or how they've done open source before or blah, blah, blah. But it was never about why they wanted to work at Unkey. So make sure you actually want to work at the company that you're doing and tell them why if they're asking for that. Tip number 3, don't use AI. It might feel like you're saving time by having AI write you out a cover letter, but we can see the difference between a handwritten one and one that was written by AI. In fact, we had a large percentage of the AI written ones that were all exactly the same. The first paragraph, the last paragraph was exactly the same, and the middle pieces would vary between a few different ones. So it was super obvious to tell who had actually handwritten one, if they did at all, and who was using AI. And if they were AI generated, they were automatically rejected. We didn't even bother to look at their resumes. We didn't even bother to engage with them. We automatically rejected you because you couldn't spend the time, the 5, the 10, the 30, the 40 minutes to write out the reasons you wanted to work at Unkey and any additional details that would actually help us decide whether or not you were a good candidate, even if your skill set wasn't an exact match or if your skills were lacking in areas where we were looking for them. Tip number 4, actually attach your resume. You'd be surprised how many emails we got that just said, I want this job, cheers, whoever the name was, and then there wasn't even a resume attached. So again, automatically rejected because you couldn't even bother to attach a resume for me to look at. Tip number 5, I think, make sure that you spell either the person's name or the company name correctly when you're applying for a job. Numerous times we saw Unkey spell UNKAY or even just a completely different job altogether for another company. They either spelled Andreas wrong, they spelled James wrong, they spelled something wrong that was super obvious that they didn't really care about the role, which makes it really easy to be discounted. Even if your resume is 10 out of 10, if you can't even spell the person's name correctly, let's make it very hard for us to make that decision. Now I've done all the tips, let's talk about a few things that can, yes, potentially boost you, and also let me break down another bunch of stuff. Firstly, if you are applying for an open source position, whether it's at Unkey, Cal.com, Uploadthing, wherever there may be a job where the majority of the application is open source, or all of it in our case, please make sure you check out the code so that you can understand how it works. And if you feel like you may want to help, contributing to that project is a big start point. That doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a role. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get an interview, but it does show that you are trying to help better the project and the mission. Secondly, if you do get rejected from a job, don't send an email back being upset about the reasons that you are being rejected. The better thing to do is to look for the constructive feedback and asking for that. It doesn't guarantee that everybody is going to reply, but if you have a complete meltdown on email where you're upset that every job's rejecting you and why can't you get a role and blah, 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 things like that, The person that did reject you will feel like they made a good choice when rejecting you. But if you ask for feedback, don't expect it right away, especially if people are still applying for the job or the job role is still open. But potentially you could get feedback if you asked for it. It's not always a guarantee, but it's always worth a shot. So that the next time you apply for a role, maybe you can understand how to apply better. So if you did make it to the end of this video, click right here. There'll be another video for you to watch. And if you're not subscribed, click right here.